Let's get a view from Washington. He was U.S. Undersecretary of Defense for Policy under George W. Bush. Douglas Feith is Senior Fellow at the Hudson Institute think tank. Thank you for joining us here on France 24.
Good to be with you.
Yeah, we just heard one view from Israel saying that the Israelis are determined that what we're about to witness is going to be months, weeks at the least, more of war. Before I ask you about that, first off, there's still chatter about diplomats trying to revive the truce. Any chance of that?
Well, I guess there's some chance of that. The Hamas promised to release hostages if they were to go back to it and say that they were going to release more. It's possible that there would be an extension of the truce. But I think the Israeli government has made it clear that even if the truce gets extended by another day or two, they are intent on finishing their military mission of destroying Hamas.
Of course, you can't destroy an ideology. You can perhaps destroy a leadership command. What's the best Israel can hope for?
Well, I don't think you're right when you say you can't destroy an ideology. There have been a number of ideologies that have been effectively destroyed through military defeat. I mean, Nazism in Germany was effectively destroyed. The Japanese militarism of the World War II government was effectively destroyed. If you think about it from perspective closer to the United States, the pro-slavery ideology of the South was effectively destroyed in the Civil War. I mean, this idea that you can't destroy an idea by destroying the movement that is promoting it, I think is.
But you have to have an alternative. You have to have an alternative to be able to destroy it. In what we just heard with our previous panelists, it was first you fight, then you seek the alternative, effectively.
Well, I think it would be very helpful if the various aid contributors to the Palestinians did focus on cultivating an alternative. And I think that the main alternative is the idea that the Palestinians should be focusing on creating better lives for themselves, improving their own situation, getting the best deal possible, rather than focus on an uncompromising demand on the liberation of all of what they consider to be their land and the destruction of Israel.
You're saying that's for all Palestinians or just Hamas?
I'm saying that the Palestinians would have an opportunity to improve their lives if they abandon the war against Israel and focus on getting improvement to their own life based on the best deal possible.
That's the Palestinians in general, you're saying?
Yes, I think the Palestinians in general would be much better off.
Because you're saying the Palestinians in general right now are intent on destroying Israel.
Certainly the political leaders of the Palestinians, both in Gaza and unfortunately also in the Palestinian Authority, have never really given up the idea of the return of the Palestinians, which means what they consider to be the complete liberation of what they think is their land. And I think they'd be a lot better off if they accepted the idea of that Israel is here to stay.
But wasn't that what the Oslo Accords were all about? That there would be compensation for the right of return for over the lands that were taken in 1948. This is something that the Palestinian Authority had been in negotiations for a settlement.
No, I think that's a complete misunderstanding of what the Oslo Accords were about.
It was supposed to be a first step.
The Oslo Accords amounted to a unilateral Israeli withdrawal from the territory, and the very weak peace promises that were made by Yasser Arafat were, first of all, weak, and secondly, violated. And and Arafat understood from the beginning that even if he did violate those ambiguous and weak peace promises that he made, the Israelis would continue to withdraw and transfer authority to him. And it didn't work. It wasn't a real peace deal.
But it was Yitzhak Rabin who was assassinated by hardliners from his own side, hardliners who are now in government, and they're the ones talking about an Israel that extends through to that with ownership, full ownership of the West Bank, therefore expanding those settlements. My question to you is, what you were saying earlier about the Palestinians' designs on Israel cannot be the same for some of Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition partners on Palestinian land.
I think you've completely misrepresented the picture in Israel, and what you just said.
They're talking about a reoccupation of the Gaza Strip.
The people who assassinated Rabin are now in the government. That's crazy. I mean, what you're being very loose with your language, and what you're saying is not accurate.
Those who assassinated Yitzhak Rabin, you're saying that they're not close to those hardline West Bank settlers. People like Itamar Ben-Gvir, people like Mr. Smotrich?
The suggestion that the people in the Israeli government now were involved in the assassination with Rabin is not accurate. You don't have any, I mean, there's no basis for that.
Douglas Feith, wish we could talk longer. Unfortunately, we have to move on, but I want to thank you so much for joining us from Washington.
Okay, good to talk to you.
Stay with us. There's much more to come, more news, plus the day's business and sports.